Sure shot, baby! So, good day, everyone. We're here for another episode of the DVD show. So, for today, we have one of the best wing defenders in the Philippines, and his nickname is Mr. President. And I'm really appreciate that he's been only in one team for his career. Like, not a lot of athletes are really like that anymore in this generation. But Gabe Norwood, our guest, has been in rain or shine for like the past 13 years, I think. So thank you so much for coming into the show, Gabe. I really appreciate it.
No problem, Diego. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to today's show, so it should be fun.
Yeah, okay. So to start things off, I just wanted to ask how you are. I saw on Instagram that you were in La Union the past weekend. So how has the off season been like for you? Spending time with your family, or what are the other stuff you've been doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's been wild ever since, there's a long gap before the bubble started last year, and now another long gap before the next season begins. But,
Yeah.
it's been a blessing to be able to be, a dad, hands-on. I like to think I was pretty active when things were, I guess I hate to say normal, but when they were. But for now, I've just been trying to maximize time, getting out of the city now that it's a little bit more flexible and we're able to move a little bit. We're able to bring the kids to the beach or just exploring the country more and more. So it's been fun. Great to get some fresh air and enjoy some outdoor activities and really make the most of our family time.
Would you say that you had more time like this quarantine to spend time with your kids? Because I see on Instagram also that you're really close with your kids. And like this quarantine, it's like you were more hands on, and even if you were more hands on already before, as you mentioned.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it took on a whole nother kind of level to things, given the restrictions and movement. My wife has always done an awesome job in terms of holding down the fort in the home. But now even with, homeschooling for our children, my oldest will be 10 soon and my youngest will be 4. And, it's being able to take those opportunities to really share experiences, really dig into education with them, especially with everything else going on in the world, right? The pandemic, you have the social injustice, you have, elections and so much going on in the world. It brings up pretty cool conversations as your kids get older.
Yeah, that's something I'd want to tackle towards later, like about the social injustices. I always ask my guests also about those issues. So I'll ask you about that later. But first, I'd want to ask, like I previously mentioned off the record, like you got a new coach yesterday, and it was pretty surprising in my opinion because I thought Kaloy Garcia was gonna stay for like longer than what he was given. But there was a sudden coaching change. What was the initial reaction of you and your teammates with that decision?
Yeah, I mean, I think Coach Chris isn't a new face for us. He's been with the team for a few years now, and he definitely has head coaching experience in the PBA and in the MPBL.
Yeah.
So he's definitely eager. We're excited for him in that opportunity to really kind of expand his coaching horizons and hopefully get us to where we want to go, which is a championship. And, for me personally, I'm tied into Coach Kaloy. Coach Kaloy drafted me.
Yeah.
He stepped aside when Coach Yeng came in and then was, blessed and lucky enough to get another opportunity at it. But he's a great basketball mind. He's still on board with us in terms of a consultant kind of general manager, head of basketball operations role. So it's going to be fun to see how, Coach Kaloy kind of handles that transition, just as I guess now he's not Coach Kaloy anymore, but more of a friend of mine. I'm excited for him and to see how he can continue to grow. That's what it's all about, man. Whether you're a player, coach, management, whatever aspect of the game, you can grow.
How about like in style of play or coaching style or methods in imparting his word to his players? What's the major difference from the fan or from a viewer's perspective from the two of them?
Well, I think that's to be found out, to be honest, just in terms of really implementing, his kind of culture and ideals and how he approaches it. But anybody who's met Coach Chris knows he's he's fiery and extremely passionate about the game. His story is awesome in its own right. He'd probably be an awesome guest to have on. You know, he
Yeah.
entered the PBA draft. He was a strength and conditioning coach for, I think it was Global Port at the time,
Mhm.
and just worked his way up. And he's a great kind of inspiration to guys who want to, you know, impact the game, who might not be players, but know they have a calling for the game of basketball. So, you know, I think he'll bring a lot of that, a lot of fight, a lot of kind of grit to the way he coaches and approaches our team. And then, you know, Coach Kaloy is a player's coach at the same time. You know, he's pretty laid back. He lets you kind of express yourself out there on the court, gives guys opportunities, which he's learned from Coach Yeng in terms of playing everybody, giving them a chance out there on the court. So I like to think Coach Chris will take some of that as well, but definitely put his own little stamp on our team and on Rain or Shine.
How many years has he been with you guys? Like two?
He's two. Yeah, I think it's going on his third season with us. First as head coach, but his third year with the team.
So he's close naman with like the players, like including you and some of the other vets, like sila James, Bo.
For sure. He's that's kind of been the cool part of our culture of a team. You know, coaching staff, players, utility, management, we all really get along, and we've all had, you know, great team building experiences where we've been able to share and get to know each other on another level.
Yeah. One of your, I don't know, one of the people in your organization, Coach Jay, he used to be my coach in Southridge.
Oh, really?
He used to teach us, and he was our head coach for like 2 or 3 years. And yeah, he was a
Okay.
really good coach. Like same system as Coach Kaloy, like freedom. You can shoot anytime because they're open. So yeah, I could relate to that.
That's funny. I've been with Coach Jay since the PBL Happy Days. So I've been with Coach Jay longer than Coach Kaloy, which is funny.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Coach Jay if you see
Yeah,
this. 'Cause, he checks my episodes sometimes, I think. So yeah.
nice.
Yeah. How about the comment of, I think I forgot, one of the owners of Rain or Shine. He said that the coaching decision was made because you need to evolve as a team, which is correct. So what's your reaction to that comment that he said like your team needs to evolve, and what do you think that Coach Chris can contribute in regards to that comment?
I mean, I think a lot of times, you know, in terms of evolution and growth, sometimes is bred out of change, and, you know, might be discomfort for some, but it's ultimately just change, a new face, a new voice, and things like that. So I think it'll be a good test for all of us, you know, from the vets who have been used to a certain style to the young guys who are coming in and really looking to, you know, put their kind of a stronghold on where they stand in the league and kind of build a foundation. I think it's an opportunity for our team. You know, we were right there in the bubble. We lost a lot of close games,
Yeah,
shot
definitely.
the ball terribly as a team,
Yeah.
but we were in every single game, lost in the quarters in another close game. So we like to think we have a good foundation that we're trying to build on. We're not starting from scratch, but we are, you know, rebuilding.
Yeah, I just want to connect it since he said already the bubble, and your team really has some promise. Like we saw Adrian Wong was the best player against Northport, I believe. So like your rookies are really experienced and tenured as they won championships already at the amateur level. But in this upcoming draft, as you well know, that it's one of the deepest drafts since I think 2013, I think. And you guys have the fifth pick, and I believe you also have a few picks in the second and third rounds. And there's a rumor that if Mikey Williams lands goes all the way down to fifth, like you guys would be a perfect. He would be a perfect fit for you guys because you're lacking a point guard that could really bring down the ball. Because Ray's the point guard, like in the bubble when I was watching. I think, but in Letran he was more of a two. I think that's where he's more
Yeah.
comfortable at. So what's your assessment in the draft? Like I'm not asking for like names that you guys might get, but like more of like the need that you feel you could address for the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it, like you said, there's a lot of talent in this year's draft. You know, there's always two different approaches, right? You either take the best available talent or you draft need. And I think in terms of our team, we have a lot of versatility in our team. You know, guys, myself, JB Mokon, like you mentioned, Adrian, are all three guys alongside with Ray, who have really challenged ourselves to to be able to get us into offense and facilitate and take on that role as well. So I like to think our flexibility allows us to do a lot of different things with the draft. If a guy falls to us that, fills a need in terms of a guard spot, or if it's, the best available player, I think it could really help us in either way, making us either more versatile and diverse in terms of our roles, or it kind of solidifies us in one that we can kind of roll into. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the guys coming in. A lot of the Philams that are coming in have been, waiting for a while. So you have some seasoned guys who they might be rookies, but they've been pros for a while. And you have the local talent who I know they're eager. They haven't been able to play basketball in a while with UAP and NCAA this past year being, kind of under wraps. So a lot of eager basketball players out there.
Are you close with any of the draft applicants, or like have you given them advice on how the mindset should be entering the draft?
Not as much this past year. Just it's been tough to get guys in gyms and getting the okay to really do open workouts and things like that. But I've had conversations over the years with some of the guys, just trying to stay in their ear. A lot of it was just asking advice from me in terms of defensive stances and kind of approaches and things like that. So a lot of guys who are just basketball junkies that want to get better. So I think it's a good sign for the PBA.
Yeah, I saw some articles that Jamie Malonzo, I believe everyone's comparing him to you because like his body and his play style can really fit you, and he idolizes you, I believe. Like I saw an article, he really wants to mold his game like you. Also, I think Calvin Oftana, since he's also a great like 3 or 4 player. So I think these applicants really look up to you in terms of reaching the standard in the PBA.
It's definitely a blessing. 2 guys, I have spoken to both of them, and extremely talented, extremely athletic. And, it'll be interesting to see where they land and how they can affect the teams that they're on.
Yeah, that's true. So for the next part, I think you already know that I want to talk about this because it's really surprising that Gilas has a chance to qualify for now it's 2021 Tokyo Olympics. And we weren't supposed to have the chance anymore because of the unfortunate showing in the FIFA World Cup. But since now we have the chance, the first question I want to ask is, are you still gonna play if they invite you, even if you want the younger guys to play?
I don't know. I haven't gotten the call. That's the dream, though, right? That's the dream of any athlete to play in the Olympics, to walk out with the flag and carry the country on your chest and on your back. So, it'd be a hard thing to turn down if I get the call. I'd love to be involved in any aspect, whether it was playing or coaching or scouting or simply just getting tickets and being a fan. It's an awesome opportunity and one of those things that we can't take for granted. I think we got to put our best foot forward and really attack it.
Yeah, I think I saw an article that they plan to start training also in Calamba. I don't know when, but like maybe they'll start inviting maybe this month. This month, March. And maybe hopefully you can be part, because we need defenders also. We need 3 and D players on the team.
Right.
Yeah, but
we'll see.
How about for the composition of the team? I think you're close with Chris Ross, and he tweeted right after the FIBA posted that we could qualify for the OQT. He's like, we should field an all PBA lineup, not like the cadets anymore, because it's OQT. We're against Serbia, Dominican Republic, and they're really tough teams to beat. So what's your opinion on that? And I guess if ever will then include some cadets, who do you think could put a stamp on the team as well?
Yeah, I mean the talent is definitely there. You look at the youth movement. We already mentioned Calvin and Dwight and 30, and you still have Juan and those are just guys who aren't even in the league. Yeah, you still have Baltasar. You have from the guards. You still have in the PBA. You have Kiefer, CJ, Robert coming off an injury. All guys that have been proven. So it's going to be tough for whoever has to make those decisions. At the end of the day, you'd like to think that pro level guys or guys who have, especially now, we've been working out, we've been preparing, and it's a weird situation trying to find out who's in the best shape, who's, the Gilas bubble did just end recently, and I know those guys were working hard in terms of the conversations I had with them. So it only be fair that they had the first shot at it. They've really been putting in the work and understanding coach's system and what they're really trying to accomplish. But yeah, it's hard to argue that to have pro talent out there, guys who might have gone against these guys before, representing the country before, and things like that.
Yeah, I've talked to a few friends also, and they really want the pro players to be there. Like, if it's the non-pro players, parang I only heard Dwight and Kai as the non-pro players that did even consider to be part of the final 12. Because, it's a shot to actually make the Olympics. And as you mentioned, you're not sure if our opponents are well trained or did they train well for these OQT. What if they haven't worked out for so long as a team as well?
Exactly. So it's one of those, you got to seize the opportunity.
Yeah, that's for sure. How about the chances of the team? Of course, we know how strong those teams are, but they might not have their NBA players for this tournament, like Jokic and Boban and Bogdan Bogdanovic might not play for Serbia. So I mean, it's a kind of obvious that our percentage of actually winning it is low. But honestly, from your point of view, since you're a player of Gilas, how many percent chance do you think we could win?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to put numbers on it, but it's basketball. It's basketball. I think it's been proven. 2014 in Spain, we're right there in every single game, and really probably should have won 2 or 3 rather than
for sure.
just 1. But then you fast forward to last World Cup, and we dropped the ball and didn't have the performance that we wanted. So, basketball is a funny game. As much as you think you're ready, you really don't know until you roll the ball out there and play. So I like to think, like I said, we have guys out here, whether they're young guys or even pros now. We haven't been playing for a while unless, you're in Nebra or TNT who are in the finals. It's been a while since we got to go out and compete. So there's a lot of eager basketball players, a lot of hunger. And if you can all channel that in the same direction, you give yourself a really good chance to win basketball games. Yeah. Even the OQT that we hosted a few years back with France.
We almost beat them.
Had France beat. And then, the next day we turned around and played probably one of the worst games against New Zealand. That those emotional roller coasters of the game of basketball. So it's international competition at its best, but it also brings out the best in a lot of players.
Yeah, that's for sure. Later, I'll talk to you about a lot of your Gilas experiences because, as I mentioned, Kanina, that was most of your highlight plays and highlight games were from Gilas more than the PBA. But then I'd also want to talk about first, like your background or upbringing, since not a lot are familiar where you came from and how you came here to the Philippines. So first, was like basketball your first love? Like, did you play other sports or did you do arts before when you were younger before you tried out basketball?
Well, I grew up in a very sports-oriented household. My dad played college football at the University of Hawaii, actually where my parents met there in Hawaii. My Filipino side was migrated to Hawaii. But I played everything. Growing up in the States, everything's seasonal. So, you have football and kind of soccer season that rolls into basketball and then baseball. And then, you kind of pick anything in between. So I grew up playing soccer first, probably 5 years old. Played basketball, played American football, baseball. I think those are the four organized sports that I played. But once I got to high school, after my freshman year of high school, I strictly stuck with basketball, and it kind of worked out for me.
What made you choose basketball? Were there like people that guided you or mentored you to choose basketball, or did you like see NBA games and you were in love, or did you see stuff from like the park that made you love the game?
I mean, I was always drawn to the game. I started playing around 5 or 6 years old in terms of organized basketball, local youth centers and things like that. But just growing up, the challenge, I played a lot of like summer league AAU basketball in Maryland, that area. So there was a lot of talent, Carmelo Anthony and guys like that who I'd see almost every weekend, and kind of just made you want to be a better player and made you want to go out and compete at a high level. And, getting into high school, I made varsity as a freshman in high school, and that just drove me even more. Like I just wanted to play my best, and I really grew up around college athletics more than anything. I love the NBA. I watch all the time, but physically going to games, wherever my dad coaches college football. So we'd go to whatever university he was at the time and go watch basketball games all the time. So I was always drawn into that college atmosphere, especially, I'm sure, being at LaSalle, just being in the gym
Yeah.
for those games.
Yeah.
Is like it.
How about your George Mason stint? You were there for I think 5 years, 4 or 5 years. So how was the whole experience like, and what were some of the best moments for the people that never even saw you play for the school?
Right. No, same thing. Went to George Mason. It's in Northern Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. Played my 4 years there. At the time when I left, I actually played the most games in school history, just in terms of the success of our team. My junior year, we made it to the Final Four, the NCAA Final Four. Ultimately, we lost to the Florida Gators, who had Joakim Noah,
Al
Al
Horford.
Horford.
Yeah, they were strong.
Yeah, they won back to back. So that was the
Yeah.
first year they won, and then they ended
Oh,
up winning
okay. You were there. Yeah.
the following year, my senior year. But just awesome experiences, playing at places like we played at North Carolina, we played at Duke, we played at Oregon, playing at the University of Maryland, playing in NBA arenas like the Grizzlies arena and the Wizards arena. So it was just an awesome experience to compete at the Division I level. NBA talent all over the place. Playing against JJ Barea was in my conference.
Oh.
Eric Maynor, who played for OKC for a while,
Before, yeah.
was in our conference as well. So it was a fun time, just to go out and compete and get a good education at the same time.
How about the lessons that were maybe imparted by your coaches or your teammates, or maybe lessons you even learned from your opponents that you never would have known? What were some of these lessons, and what do you still bring it, like even now that you're in the Philippines, you still remember it, that I learned this certain lesson from this time when I was younger?
I think the biggest thing is probably the competition aspect. A lot. I don't have the most fiery personality
Yeah.
or kind of expressions out there on the court, but at the end of the day, I love to compete. I love to get out there and work, and that's what I think I bring. Even in terms of practice, I don't like to finish last in any drill, um, especially if it's conditioning. It's things. I guess even here, I talk to guys who went to college out here in terms of the conditioning and the running that we used to do. And, it's not the same at the pro level, but, just kind of getting your body to push through limits and really not give up on yourself. I think that's something that I learned, probably even before college, probably through just my dad being an athlete and kind of instilling that in me as a kid, and carrying that on as a pro and now as a father, trying to pass it forward.
Yeah. Then I believe you moved here to the Philippines in 2007. I think you tried out for the RP team. But what made you go here? I mean, you were already in NCAA Division One. You never know, you would have, if you tried it out for the NBA or Euro League or NBA D League. So what made you decide to go here in the Philippines, even if you were in Division One already?
Yeah, well, I came out here actually in 2006. After we went to the Final Four, I came out with a group called Athletes in Action, which is a sports ministry group.
Mm-hmm.
So we came out. I had the option of either coming here or going to Brazil, and it was here for me. It was a no-brainer. I wanted to know more about my family, my Filipino side,
Yeah.
and coming here, especially I still had one more year of college left, but I came out here in '06 and really just fell in love with the style of play. I was still eager to know more. I was only here for I think 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks. So it was basically implanted in my mind, my junior year of college, that I wanted to come back out here. I wanted to give it a shot. And my agent at the time told me, look, if you're going to fall in love with it, if you go out there, basketball, and it was true. It's there's no place like it in terms of the game, the love for basketball, the love for the players, and just the overall basketball experience. Being Filipino and loving the game of basketball is like the perfect marriage.
How about growing up in your household in the US? Did you guys practice any traditions or cultural like habits that we do every now and then that made you also love the Filipino culture? That's like not basketball related, maybe I don't know, food or
Right. I
something.
mean, the biggest thing was food. Yeah, for sure. The biggest thing was
Yeah,
food.
yeah,
Just family get-togethers. Right there in Hawaii. We lived
yeah.
in Hawaii since I was 5 years old, and I was around mostly my Filipino side up until I
Okay.
my dad's family was military and based in mainland states.
Mm-hmm.
So my Filipino side basically is where I was at till I was five. From the lumpia and pancit to just overall family gatherings. That just the Filipino vibe was always there for us, and it was awesome growing up in that environment.
Yeah. How about the recruitment to get to the PBA? When you got here, was it automatic, like you were gonna go to the PBA already, or did you consider something else at the time?
Yeah, well, my first experience was the national team. I came out in 2007 after my senior year, and went right into FIBA Asia. I was the only non-pro at the time. I think Kelly Williams just finished his rookie year, so we were the two young guys on the team, and that was my understanding at the time was, okay, I play with the national team, then I'll just go right into the PBA.
Oh,
I wasn't aware of the PBL and things like that. I went back to the States after that stint with the national team, my first stint, and had some offers in Europe. I think it was like Greenland or like Iceland, like it was out there. But ultimately, I knew I wanted to come back. Ended up doing a year in the PBL, playing for Happy,
oh
which
yeah,
was a great experience, a great, real introduction. It wasn't international play.
yeah.
It was definitely uh, Filipino basketball, and it was a great introduction and preparation for the PBA, especially back in 2007, 2008.
Yeah, as you mentioned that you were already in the 2007 team, and I think you were quoted in an articles that you said it was the most talented team, Philippine team ever. And I checked the roster like last night, and yeah, they were pretty talented. Maybe like the
Yeah,
reserves, the ones that got cut. I was like, this guy's an MVP. I think James Yap didn't make the team or something.
yeah.
I was really surprised. But what do you think happened in the tournament? Because I think you guys were only ninth place. So even was it like too much talent?
No, I mean, honestly, I think it was a little bit of bad luck. We
uh,
were just coming off of the Philippines itself was just coming off of probation at the time. So we were put into, I mean, at the time they were calling it the group of death. So I think it was us, China, Iran, and Jordan in the
wow.
same group.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just one of those things. The first game of the tournament, I believe it was the first game we play Iran, who ultimately they end up winning the whole thing. But we're cutting into the lead fourth quarter, and I can't remember who made a shot. I want to say it was maybe Jimmy or Don Don make a shot, a three to cut the lead to one, and the ref decides we get up to celebrate on the bench. I think it's myself and Mark Agiwa.
Yeah.
We're on the bench, and the ref gives us a tech, tees us up. There's like a minute left.
Yeah.
International, you get two shots in the ball. So
It
they make
cost the
two free
game.
throws, three, and then they hit a three. So they're up six out of nowhere. And we end up losing. We actually finished the tournament. I think we only had two losses. We were like 8-2, but we finished 8-8.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild in terms of the tournament itself. But yeah, just a lot of talent. But we played well. We came together, and I think if we would have got that first one, if we kind of got the calls or the bounces, the ball bounced our way, I think it would have carried our momentum all the way through.
Maybe that's why they changed the draw now. Like in any FIBA tournament, there's like the pot A where all the strong teams are, pot B a bit strong, and then I think that's maybe that's the tournament where they decided to change it.
Yeah, something's got to change.
Yeah. Like now, I think USA can't be in the same bracket as Spain or something like that.
Right, right.
Yeah. So
Mutual
you
agreement.
Yeah. When you got drafted by Rain or Shine, I read that you were really close with Saul Mercado, and yeah, Coach Kaloy was the one that drafted you, as you mentioned a while ago. How was the first 3 years in Rain or Shine? Because I think those were the only years you averaged double digits, and you were more of a scorer with Saul. compared to your role now, wherein you're like a versatile 3-and-D player. So how fun was it that 3 years, even if you didn't win a championship and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. To come into a team, their first year of rain or shine, well coached the year or two before. But Coach Kaloy really gave myself, Saul, and Ty.
Oh yeah, also.
And Ty really gave us the keys. They put us out there on the court as rookies to play heavy minutes alongside J.R. Reyes, and we had Rob Wainwright at the time,
Yeah,
and things
I
like that.
remember.
But really, a lot of the decision making and kind of plays were being made by Saul, Ty, and myself. So it was just a fun time. It was a dribble drive before anybody was really doing it. So it was really aggressive style of play. And we were playing a lot of minutes. I think myself and Saul, for the first 2 years, I think we led the league in minutes played. And we didn't complain at all. We were not tired. Early 20s, so we could be out there all day.
Yeah.
And naturally the game changed a little bit as Coach Yang came in, and it was more of an equal opportunity type of setup, and you had to really be efficient in your minutes. And that was a challenge for me early on, in terms of going from almost 40 minutes to like 25. That's a whole quarter, essentially, that you got to make up for. But once we figured it out, once Coach Yang came in, I was able to really adapt and adjust, and the team was able to do the same. I think the track record holds with the success that we had with Coach Yang and his style and things that we accomplished.
What helped you adjust well with Coach Yang? Because like sometimes in a Coach Yang system, like you don't get 30, 40 minutes anymore. It's like spread out, and the touches also in the usage rate, I believe, of the team is like spread out among like 8 to 9 guys instead of 2 to 3 guys as with the previous system with TY and Sol Mercado. So was that a huge adjustment for you, and did you accept it right away, even if I guess it was tough because you got less shots?
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge adjustment, more mentally, being put in a space young in your career where you're feeling like you're really starting to kind of transition into a scorer. I was never a huge scorer, like my whole career, whether it was high school. I think I averaged right around 20, but that was high school.
Yeah.
You can go out for 20,
yeah.
But college, I wasn't a heavy scorer, and really I was taking that transition from the PBL of trying to be more aggressive and getting my own, while still helping the team, and really embracing that early in my career. But Coach Yang coming in, and he was very open and straightforward with the mindset of why he does the things that he does, how he handles the team, and really longevity of your career, and really understanding your role. So it took me a while to really see where I could help the team best, and really understanding my teammates. Playing that role also makes you see what your teammates do well. So to see that Paul Lee is a special scorer that can, be one of the greats of the PBA, you see that when you're sitting down. It's hard to see when you're running around in the court. So, you start to appreciate that. You appreciate Bo setting great screens and having high basketball IQ. You appreciate Jeff Chan being one of the best shooters to ever play in the league. And, it's things like that to where you just appreciate each player and appreciate yourself, what you bring to the table. So it was an adjustment, but definitely one I'm happy I made, and figured out.
How does he impart to you guys like the roles? Because like Paul Lee, there are even games when he doesn't get the number of shots he normally gets, like what he's getting now in Magnolia. Magnolia now he usually attempts the most shots, even if it's like an off night. Coach Chito gives him the green light to attempt when he's open. So how does he talk to you guys? Like, is he a really good communicator that you guys really listen to him, even if deep inside you want to get more shots or more opportunities in on the floor, like even if you only play like 15 minutes or something?
Right. I think it's a lot of it is his ability, Coach Yang's ability to really, get the best out of players. The league, not a lot of teams play all 15 players and give chances. So you have to be mentally prepared. Coach Yang is huge on mental toughness. He's huge on just being ready, being prepared. owning up to your mistakes and things like that. So I think that was a huge thing for us, being able to hold ourselves accountable, and also, knowing the expectations of our coaching staff and how to perform. Coach Yeng has a special talent with that, and he pulled that out of each and every player. That's why I think it wasn't a surprise, And I think the first championship we won, we had a different leading scorer for every game, and
Norwood Corley.
It's hard to defend. Yeah, outside of Jamel. Yeah, outside of Jamel Corley.
Yeah,
I think we had a different top scoring local every game.
Yeah, that was really a great series because I think Tim Cohn's team, like BMEG, you guys were the underdogs against them, and they had Marcus Blakely, and that was still like the prime of James Yap and PJ and Mark, and you guys won in 7, and I was kind of surprised also as a guy watching from outside.
Yeah, it was definitely a good one, and yeah, hopefully we can get back to those, packed houses and a lot of cheering going on.
Yeah, there were a ton of fans during those times, around 20,000.
Right.
How about Coach Yeng? Like, he also gets players from the draft, like players that weren't even like in the mock drafts, they weren't even like high, but then when they get into rain or shine, they're really great players. Like, I believe Jericho Cruz wasn't that high on the draft board, and then now he's not with you guys anymore. But and Lex, you could see him excelling, and players like Maverick Ahanmisi, like he got selected before Chris and Scotty, I think, in that draft, and I got surprised, but Mav was really good for you guys as well when he was with you guys. And I think now currently Jewel Ponferrada, also an underrated player. It's also, I think, drafted by Coach Yeng. So where does he get all these guys, and how is he so good in selecting players?
Yeah, I think he puts a lot of trust in his staff. At the time, Coach Kaloy, Coach Mike Buendia, Coach Ricky were still involved in the PBA D League, and a lot of it he puts trust in them. And Coach Kaloy is very vocal in terms of the talent that he sees, the eye that he has for talent, and from Jericho and Don Troiano and
Don. Yeah.
You know what I mean, Maverick and those guys. I think it was a joint effort. I'm sure Coach Yeng would be the first to say that he put a lot of trust in his staff in terms of scouting and really trying to piece together what players would fit best for our team. So, some of it's luck. Not everything works out the way you wish it would. Naturally, guys either run their own course and go to a different team. But I think they definitely maximize their opportunities here with Rain or Shine to play well.
Do you have an idea how he also talks to the imports? Because the 2 championships you had, like Jamel Corley is not like a 40, 30 point per game player. And then Pierre Henderson Niles is also scoring single digits in the finals, and you still won the championship. How does he even choose also the imports? Or is it the same with the rookies that he drafts? Because the imports, sometimes they have the ego that they want to score and take the most shots every single game. And if not, they're going to leave or something.
Yeah, it's a lot of the same, in terms of the staff and the communication with agents and things like that. Jamel Corley, actually, I've known since I was 17, 18 years old. So it was just a matter of time. Jamel had been playing in other countries a few years before, but every conference, every time it was 6'5" or 6'6", I was trying to get Jamel here. But it just got lucky that one season that he was available. Coach Yeng and the coaching staff, kind of trusted a little bit of advice that I gave, and then also saw the film, which is undeniable, the way that Jamel competes and really just battles for his team. So, he was the perfect fit for us that year and got us to the championship.
Yeah. So for the segue that I wanted to talk about that I told you a while ago is the Gilas stint. So yeah, we talked about already the 2007 team, but how about like the moving to the 2013 team? But there was like Gilas one with the JV Castro and Chris Chu. How was the development and the recruiting process for 2013? Because I believe you guys really had a strong bond, and it showed on the court also, even if it wasn't the most talented bunch.
Yeah, I think it was huge. It really started, I think, the year before with the core of the team that won the Jones Cup. We won the Jones Cup the year before. Myself, I think it was myself, Japhet,
LA.
LA was there, Jeff was there. Um, in terms of the guys that continued on,
FIBA,
Saul
yeah.
Mercado was there also, young Matt Rosser and Garver Lynette, they were there, Gary David, those guys. But a lot of that closeness came from our training camps. We were gone a lot. It was a huge sacrifice in terms of, family and being, physically present. But, those experiences going out and really we got beat a lot. Like we would go travel. We were in Europe or New Zealand or, in the States, and we were getting beat a lot. But a lot of, kind of growth comes in that, especially when you can't just pick up and go home.
Yeah.
You can't leave the
Definitely.
situation
Yeah.
to figure it out. And, I think that really built our bond. A lot of the guys, we call each other roommate. Mark Pingris for me will forever be roommate. He's not going to be Mark. He's going to be roommate.
Yeah.
Jim and LA are the same way. If you ever hear them communicate, they're roommate first and foremost. So that bond was really special. We knew we were on track to do big things when we hosted, FIBA Asia here and qualified for the World Cup. And the rest is history from there.
Was that the differentiating factor in snatching the silver medal for the 2013 FIBA Asia? Or were there other aspects as well that separated you from the other teams? Like you guys could have even beaten Iran if Marcus Might was healthy for the gold medal match.
Right. I think it was a lot of it was comfort. We still, even that 2017, we were in Europe for training camp. We were in Serbia and played well in the Jones Cup that year as well. But, 2013, I think it was just the alignment of stuff. We played at home. We played FIBA Asia at home for the first time in how many years, how many decades and that's an advantage on a whole nother level. No matter how outside of probably the CBA, maybe the KBL or JBL, now that it's picked team now, but back in 2013,
no,
not a lot of players were playing in front of 10,000 people. Fans screaming against them, especially if anything, they're probably favorite. But I think it's a different environment to walk into when you're playing here in Manila.
So moving on to the 2014 FIBA World Cup, how was the preparation? I've heard a lot of stories that you guys were out for 1.5 months again, like training camp all over the world. So how was the sacrifice for you also and the preparation for that tournament?
Yeah, it was 2.5 months. Having two young sons at the time. A wife back here in the Philippines. It was a grind. It was tough. 2-a-day practices and the same thing. We were in the States for a while. We're in Miami. That's where we first linked up with Andre Black. Had our training camp. Flew out to Spain, where we were in France for a little bit. Went back to Spain before the World Cup, but it was just on the move, getting better. Really like sleep, drink, eat basketball for 2.5 months. That put us in a really good chance to win basketball games.
What was the best moment of the training for you? Like, what's the most memorable, whether it's like when you were playing in a game or off the court, that you really remembered in that moment?
And so much, because Coach Trot was such a great he's a motivational speaker by trade. So he's got all the team building activities. We get to Spain, and our first hotel did not live up to expectations, so we had to switch hotels at the last minute. End up switching hotels, and Coach, I don't know if it was the same day or the next day, but Coach Trot decides, and some of the players decide to have a cook-off. So we split the team into two, end up having, maybe 6 or 7 guys in a kitchen each. We get a certain allowance for groceries in Spain. We're going grocery shopping in Spain, and we end up having this huge feast. Everybody was tired of the hotel food and stuff like that on our travel. So I think Gary and Ronadell took the lead along with Mark Pingris in terms of getting a menu together. So we had a cook off.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I really appreciate Coach Chot's tactics. Like they said now that TNT got him. It's perfect for the team because they haven't won in like 6 years, but they've been talented ever since. But they think having Coach Chot back at the helm, he's really a great motivational speaker. So maybe that's what Sila Ray Ray and Sila RR, maybe that's what
Right.
they need to maybe reach the top.
Yeah, it's
So
good to have him back in the league. So it should be fun.
yeah, it'd be fun for you to go against him again. Yeah. How about the games? You mentioned a while ago that you really felt you could have won 2 to 3 games and advanced to the next round, but yeah, luck didn't go our way. But what was the factor that really happened and why you didn't make it? Was it more of like inexperience because it's your first World Cup in so long? Because like the Argentina game, it was like in the clutch moments. Also the Puerto Rico game, I believe, or actually
Yeah.
even Croatia. It's only the Greece game where it was really a double-digit win. So what was it for you? Was it the inexperience or something more specific than that?
Probably a little bit of that. I think it was execution as well. Like I said, a lot of the games that we were playing, um, we weren't in a lot of close games in our preparation. You know, we played France in France for a tune-up and played them really tough, played them close. But outside of that, a lot of our games were, you know, testing out our system, working on defensive philosophies and things like that. But I'll say this, for those games in the World Cup, I had never been more prepared. I think that's where Coach Tab first joined us.
Yeah.
Uh, he was there with us. You know, we had Coach Norman, Coach Ryan, who was doing the film breakdown. We picked up some coaches along the way. Coach Nacho, he was from Spain, but had been coaching in Africa to get us ready for the Senegal game. And
He
we had other
scouted them.
coaches on the way, yeah, along our stops, really just giving advice as a team and also to our coaching staff. So when we got into each game, we were extremely, extremely prepared. And so I don't think we were surprised to be close. Um, I think it was just a matter of some execution down the stretch that kind of caught up to us. And international play, they'll make you pay right away. So you can't take plays off.
How about the following years? Because the following years, I think there was like up and down, like in Asian Games. I think you lost, and then FIBA Asia 2015. I think you all that was like the game that was kind of rigged. I think because of the refs and the silver and the gold medal match. Yeah. So
Right.
how about the development of the Gilas team? What's your assessment and outlook to it over the past, I don't know, until 2019, the FIBA World Cup, that long stretch?
Yeah, I think the most glaring thing is time. Really, no matter who you put out there on the court, it's really just time. You have to be together. You have to prepare. Whether that's finding the break in between the PBA seasons, or finding a way to figure out a schedule during the season, or if it's not going to be PBA players, really committing to the youth movement and getting them together as much as possible. I think our best showings have been when we have been together. Even Gilas won. They were right there with Coach Ryko, with JV and Chris Chu and Jimmy and Kelly and Ossie and those guys. They were right there on the brink of getting us to where we wanted to go a couple years beforehand. So, and they spent how many years together? They were together. I think the Gilas program was
Yeah,
what,
three,
almost
4 years,
2 or 3 years,
2 to 3.
completely
Yeah,
exclusive, right? So
yeah.
I think time is huge in terms of really maximizing talent and maximizing chemistry and everything.
How about in 2019, the World Cup I was referring to? I think,
Oh,
as
sorry.
you were alluding to, the time
Yeah.
was really not a lot during that time. You guys barely trained. I don't know how long you trained. Like I think you trained less than the Team USA, and they're already talented
Yeah.
from the beginning. So do you think it was really the practice time because you guys were pretty talented, or maybe also the injuries because two of the great shooters in the Philippines weren't there, Matthew Wright and Marshall Lassiter.
Right, for sure. We ran into some tough luck in terms of injuries and just availability altogether. We went to Spain for a short training camp, and I got hurt I think the first tune-up game we had there in Spain. And for me personally, I haven't missed much of anything. I've remained pretty healthy throughout my career, and really wasn't 100% during that whole training camp or when I came back. But yeah, I think it was time too. It was a rushed kind of situation, which is unfortunate, being the captain of that team and really seeing the talent that we had. I really, truly in my heart felt if we had a month with the same group, same exact group, I think we could have done. I'm not saying we were going to make it to the second round or anything like that, but we could have put on a performance like we did, in the World Cup prior to that. And it just wasn't for us. And I said in an interview, I think after the game, that if it takes us getting beat like this to kind of make things right and kind of be the sacrificial lambs, then, I'm happy to do it if this is a learning lesson for, the program and how we approach the international play.
In connection to your answer, that you believe that that you really need more practice time in order to be successful, because like in 2014 and 2013 it was very evident that you guys caught the world by surprise with the time dedicated to practicing and spending time together, bonding. And I think also many of the European and Asian teams do that. That's why they're successful when they're playing on the court. It's like easy for them to pass to each other and stuff. So how about for the OQT? Do you have do you think we should start training already, like early this month? Because even if that's still in July, I think, if you have ample time now, there's no PBA yet, so anyone could train. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, now naturally you want to start as early as possible. A bubble and just to prepare is tough because our situation in 2013 and 14 were like legit training camps, right? You're going out, we're traveling, but we're still playing other teams. Mm-hmm. We're playing other countries. We're seeing new faces and new styles of play. So, restrictions here in Metro Manila. So naturally you'd have to be outside of the city. And yeah, it's a weird dynamic right now. I'd love to say, yeah, get everybody together right away, but it's mentally tough. It's a different mental experience as well, knowing that it's March and you're trying to go full head, 100% to July is a lot. So hopefully, as this everything starts to open up a little bit more, and hopefully we can all be disciplined in how we carry ourselves outside of our homes and outside of practice, that we can get a team together as soon as possible and get ready.
Yeah, hopefully really make a splash. People might not expect us to play well because we were like last place in the 2019. Right. So we might catch them by surprise again.
Right.
So I just wanted to touch on this because I like when I used to play basketball in high school, I was really also tasked to be a defender. Like I was the one guarding the best scorer on the opposing team. So what are some of the defensive principles that you really live up to? Like you said that the rookies were calling you like these past few months about how you play defense, because the stuff you do are like Marcus Smart or Draymond Green. Like it doesn't appear on the stat sheet. It's not good for fantasy or anything, but it gets the job done and it gets you to the championships and the medals. So what's your mindset with defense?
For me personally, it really ignites some of my best defensive games have turned into my best offensive games. It's really what kind of gets my energy going. It gets me motivated and really locked into the game. For myself and a lot of the guys that I was speaking to, Jaime and Calvin, they're going to be put in situations, especially in the PBA, where they probably have to guard, imports and guys who have just unbelievable basketball resumes. So for me, a lot of it's just effort. I won't say I'm a perfect defender at all. I think I'm smart in terms of knowing my strengths and using my length rather than, necessarily quickness or and things like that. You have other guys like Chris Ross who has a complete package really in terms of defensively. He's long armed. He's still really quick even at his at his age, even though we're the same age. But but he there's it's a lot of with both of us. It's just effort. It's wanting to defend, wanting to get stops and help your team. And it's a mental approach naturally with some little kind of skills and things that you can work on here and there, but a lot of it's effort, not giving up on plays, watching film and understanding your opponent, what they like to do, and knowing sometimes you get caught off balance and they might get to their strength, and knowing what their counters are and things like that. So it's a lot of studying that goes involved, not just rolling the ball out and playing.
Yeah, that's really true, because I think everyone knows that when it's Gilas or Rain or Shine, you really guard the best offensive players. But I believe that you also need to scout them. Like now in this generation, we have like YouTube, we have like people on your staff that could give you video for you to study on the tendencies and the scouting report of like the player that you're assigned to guard for the next game. And I think you should just take that into advantage, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
How about I think it was mentioned a lot. Like you said you watch also a lot of NBA, or maybe it also applies in the PBA, that people don't really care much about defense now. Like in the NBA, I think this year that the scoring has really went high in a rapid pace, and like the Nets are one of the best teams that they don't play much defense. Do you think that this generation, or like this batch of players now, they should care more about defense? Because me personally, sometimes like I'm a Celtics fan and they're kind of struggling now, and sometimes I tell my friends or my family members that we lost because we didn't play defense. Like they were all lazy in that game. And I think if you play good defense, it's gonna go in the offensive end also. So what's your thoughts on that assessment?
I mean, it's just tough now, I think, because guys are so talented offensively. Like you can go out to a court and work on your offense for hours, but it's really hard to work on your defense by yourself. It really comes down to playing, and that's where watching film and things like that is key. But I like to think, it's going to come back around full circle. You're going to have a lot of guys like Bam Adebayo that can defend every position, and you know what I mean? Guys like that will have higher value, and it could be a bunch of 6'9" guys who just running around on the court that can defend one another and challenge each other in that end. But for now, I think the way rules are set up, especially in terms of the NBA, not so much in terms of the PBA, since we can still zone and you can still hand check a little bit and things like that. But the NBA, there's so much space on the court. It's almost impossible, really, to like at the end of the day, Marcus Smart can guard whoever, you know what I mean?
Except
Whoever.
Embiid.
Yeah, except Embiid. But even in his own position, he's probably not going to hold them too far under their average. You know what I mean? The guys aren't going to just have. You're not going to see, let's say, Trae Young have a 4-point game.
Yeah.
Right? Guys are just so talented now. So the game's different, but I like to think that there's more guys out there who want to play defense, especially in the NBA, than the numbers show.
Yeah, I hope as well. Like I also remembered while you were talking that Shaq was like bashing Gobert because he got the third biggest contract in NBA history, and he's averaging 11 points per game. But then maybe I thought about it that maybe Utah puts a premium on defense, and he's one of the best defenders right now.
Yeah, it's just how you look at it, right? It's definitely he plays his role to his best of his ability, and there's not a lot of guys that play his role better.
Yeah, definitely. Like I thought before that Gobert was not good in defending the pick and roll because he's kind of slow laterally. But then there was like a stat that said that he was actually good in doing that. So people don't want him to switch because he can catch up with his length. I guess he can still swat it out when he's behind like even 2 steps.
Yeah, I think it took him a little while, but he figured it out. He started to figure it out.
Yeah. So for the next part, I want to talk about it, and I'm pretty sure you have a lot of insights about it. It's like moving towards the latter part already, towards the end of the interview. And I also asked these questions to my guests. So you mentioned that you know a lot about the Black Lives Matter movement, and like in the NBA, it was they were very vocal with their thoughts and opinions about it, and they were active also with the elections. And yeah, the elections are coming up here, as you also mentioned, in 2022. And athletes here, I believe, not a lot are like you or a few others that are very vocal with the social issues here locally. And I wanted to ask if you think athletes really should be also vocal about social issues and political issues, even if, you know, you guys play a sport only. So that's what some people say, like Zlatan Ibrahimovic was criticizing LeBron last weekend, I think, that he's so active in social issues. So here locally, do you think athletes should also be more vocal and put their word out there? Because you never know, like in the elections, the athletes might be able to educate voters, or they might be able to educate Filipinos that aren't aware of certain issues, and they just tweet it out there, and then even if they don't believe it, it's just that they're not that knowledgeable yet with certain issues here in the Philippines.
Right. I mean, I guess I can't say or really pinpoint like who or what should be spoken on. I think that speaks to every one person's heart. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Especially at that given time. But I think it is also important to really educate yourself on topics, especially those that, you know, a lot of the stuff for me personally was really just self-experience, stuff that I've gone through, stuff that I've heard about from family or friends and things like that, that, you know, have personally affected me. And at the same time, being a father now, is, you know, different things affect you, different things, you know, kind of pull at your heart in different situations. And I think it is important in terms of understanding your platform, understanding the opportunity you have to share, to be like a healing voice, to show support, and really just try to, you know, we all have a different moral set. We all have a different, you know, right and wrong. It should be simple, but, you know, it can get blurred at times. But I think, you know, building communities, finding opportunities to speak or issues or topics where you can be outspoken about, and really try to uplift your countrymen. That has to be the root of it, the betterment of your family, your friends, your countrymen, as long as that it's at the heart of whether you speak or don't speak. You know what I mean? Some people, if you don't feel like you're educated enough or feel like you are in a space to say something, I think it's fine to let others speak up as well, you know, make their voices even louder. So yeah, I think it's stuff that is important. It's an interesting time because everybody has a voice at the end of the day. You know, we're doing this show. My kids go in contact with other kids and things like that. So it's an awesome time to be able to see athletes, celebrities, politicians, anybody really just speaking their minds.
Yeah, I really believe that, because I think athletes are integral part of the society. Like I think the athletes really, like I think Chris Paul was the one who said that he thought he only knew like 20% of the players that voted or something. Then now it's like almost 100 or something. So they really can affect the change. And here in the Philippines, maybe some athletes, maybe they just need to realize also that they can impart change. Maybe they know a lot of things also about the social issues of a lot. Like here in the pandemic, like ever since the past year, there are a lot of issues. Maybe it's magnified also because we're all at home, and maybe the athletes can also impart their knowledge. Maybe their followers would learn from them, because yeah, their followers are like hundreds of thousands, and maybe it would also help with the elections for 2022.
Right. And just even speaking to some of the younger guys, it's an opportunity to educate ourselves, educate one another as well. You know, the bubble was a really
Yeah.
interesting experience in terms of being able to sit down and have conversations and, you know, kind of sharing personal experience, you know, from the States. At the end of the day, we're, especially the Philam community, we're not
Yeah.
in this, we're here. So I know naturally we want to be more involved. We want to be kind of put on to different topics and issues that, you know, we might not see in the same way, you know what I mean? Or not, it might not kind of hit us in the same way. So yeah, just looking forward to more conversations.
Yeah, like I saw like when the George Floyd incident happened, like you and some other Filipino Americans here in the PBA, you guys did an Instagram live of you
Mm.
guys kneeling, I believe, and I think that would. I mean, it's not like a local issue, but then, for example, like your fans were like, "Oh, why is all the PBA players live? Like Gabe, Chris Ross, and all these players," and then they'd realize maybe they'd search it or something, and then they'd learn more about it. So that's like a great example, I believe, that I thought of that might
Yeah,
increase the knowledge of Filipinos in regards to social issues.
thank you. That's all we were trying to do, to be
Yeah,
honest, just
yeah,
conversation and really just kind of share experience and get to know us on a deeper level as well.
yeah. So for the final like three questions, I just wanted to ask, what's your favorite Gilas moment? Is it the two dunks against Argentina? Like everyone knows about the Scola dunk, but I was watching the game or highlights during this pandemic, and I saw that you also had one dunk. I don't know if you posterized someone also, but there were two great dunks against Argentina. Was it both of those, or was there something else that none of us know?
Man, well, definitely for me, I personally am a bigger fan of the second dunk. Um, just me personally, it was left-handed. I usually don't dunk
Offhand.
left-handed, and I don't jump off of 1 foot often, and so I did both of those on that dunk, and it should have been an and one, but that's another, that's another conversation. But no, my favorite Gilas moment, honestly, it's not even like, actually, it's probably Mall of Asia when we beat Korea.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
in terms of like on the court, just moment, you know, looking up in the crowd and seeing my wife and my kids and everybody in tears. And it wasn't even the gold medal game yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just we had made it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that game against Korea is probably my favorite Gilas moment.
Yeah, that was one of the most memorable for any Filipino, I believe. Like I wasn't in MOA, I didn't get a ticket. I only got a ticket for quarterfinals, I think. The one against Kazakhstan. But yeah, it was really tough to even get a ticket. Like I wanted to watch the finals and of course first the semis. But yeah, I didn't get the opportunity to. But from my house, like everyone was so surprised. Like I think my family members that don't care about basketball started watching the game also like towards the end because they were like, "What's happening?" Like everyone's like crying and stuff.
It was awesome,
Yeah,
awesome. Still get chills to this day. So it was definitely my
yeah.
favorite game.
I'm not sure if you watch All the Smoke podcast, but the final two
Yeah.
questions, yeah, it's related to them. So if it's you, I'll ask you, naman, who are five people that you'd want to have dinner with, dead or alive? That's from them. And since you already watch, you know that.
Man, so I'm already one, right? So
No, five others, so six,
5 others.
including you.
So man, I'd have to put Muhammad Ali would be on there for sure. Cassius Clay,
Yeah.
because that would just be an entertaining conversation. Man, so I'd go Cassius Clay, Martin Luther King would be awesome. Whew, that's tough, man. So Martin Luther King, Cassius Clay, man. I put there's like a handful. Obama would be on there.
Yeah, you're lookalike. Everyone says he's your lookalike.
I think in terms of like, I'd probably feel like a Francis M on there. That'd be cool, just to,
New
especially off of,
answer. Yeah.
yeah, you know, just being out here and really knowing more of his influence on hip hop and locally, and just the impact he still has. You know what I
Yeah, until
mean? Like
now. Yeah.
Francis M. And then I probably feel like a Bob Marley on
That's a great bunch because some of my guests like they also don't know, they take long because they're like, wow, that's a good question. Then like I can't pick five. I want like a lot.
there, right?
Yeah.
man, I listen to All the Smoke all the time, and I never thought about it for myself. So
Yeah, I listen to like almost all the episodes except some guests that I don't know, and I like that question, and their answers are also interesting. Like it's all
yeah,
these people that would educate them. Like here in it's like what my 11th episode already. Some of them would say like Jose Rizal and stuff because like they were like, oh yeah, I didn't realize that I'd want to have dinner with Jose Rizal and learn about it.
that'd be cool.
Yeah. So for the final question, it's also related to all the smoke, you know it now, and you also mentioned already like a possible suggestion a while ago. Like you said, Chris Gavina would be a great guest, your coach, because
Yeah.
he had a great story. It's like perfect for a podcast. But and maybe you might want to add a few more names that I could guess on the podcast that have great stories. So it doesn't need to be basketball only. It could be any other sport because I also interviewed like volleyball players and other sports as well. It's really good to have a good mix of athletes.
I have. So Coach Chris would be on the list, and Margie. I forget what Margie's last name.
Who's Margie?
Skateboarder Margie. What's Margie's last name?
Vidal? Is that him or is that someone else?
I'll try to hold on. Let me look for it real quick. Give me 2 seconds.
Are you
But
friends with him?
uh, she,
Oh, she?
yeah, yeah, Margie. Is it Vidal?
Vidal?
Vida.
Yeah, something.
But
I've heard the name,
she
but I've never like searched her up.
got to meet her at the Sea game or Asian Games.
Mm-hmm.
Skateboarder, super talented, super down to earth. Believe she's from Cebu, but just representing the country really well. Just cool, down to earth girl. So I think she'd be a good guest. Um, outside of my crew, Joe Devance and Saul, Chris Ross, Josh Urbastando, who's in the States now. I think they would all be awesome guests as well. But you can't go wrong with any of those guys. It'll be a fun time.
So I think that's all the time we have for now. Thank you so much, Gabe, for coming onto the podcast. Even if I think you guys practice already now, so you've been pretty busy and you spend a lot of time with your family now. It's like when we return to normalcy, you'll have more duties in the PBA. So thank you so much for taking up some time and coming into the podcast, and I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me. And like I said, sorry it took so long to get on, but I'm happy I did, and more power to you, man.
Do you have any final message to the viewers or anything?
Just a shout out to my wife Lay, Cash, Owen, Izzy. Hopefully we can tune in and check this out, and you'll hear this and smile or cry. But and then also to my family in the States, the Norwoods, the Valorias, um, everybody. Just thank you so much to Farinils here, and also in Davao, and all of my extended love to Kalashao, Pangasinan. So thank you again, and hopefully I can come back on later in the future sometime.
Yeah, for sure. I can invite you again sometime. So I just wanted to ask again. I'm just curious. What's the thing at your back, like the background? Like what does it say?
Oh,
Because I always see it in every interview, like the words there, and then you've been interviewed a lot. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
actually this interview room doubles as our kids' classroom. So I have all sons. So it's basically the brief definition of a brother. A best friend for life, a
Yeah.
builder of forts, teller of stories in the dark, and a player of catch and shooter of hoop.
You made that,
So
or like you got it from
no,
somewhere?
no, we found it.
Oh, okay,
Came up,
okay.
thought it
Yeah.
fit well, and
I've been curious because like you've been interviewed since like March or April since the start last year, and then I always see that it's the same place every time.
yeah. Then this is a series a dunk action shot from a All Star game. I think it was in Palawan. Might have been in Palawan.
Yeah, it's really good. That's the first thing I noticed. Also, the dunks and then the words. I was like, oh, that seems interesting. Like whenever I watch it. So,
Yeah.
lastly, before you go, I just want to take a picture. If that's okay with you.
But yeah,
Okay. So, okay, one, two, three. Okay, thank you so much again, Gabe, for coming into the show,
man.
and good luck with Bubble and hopefully Gilas if they call you up.
Thank you,
If there's
man.
if
Classic.
hopefully it's not in a bubble like the next
Yeah,
PBA, but I don't know. Let's see.
like five. We'll see. We'll see how
Yeah.
it goes.
Good luck in the upcoming season. Even the draft first, since that's already
Yeah.
this month.
Thank you, man.
Okay. Thank you again.
Take care.
Bye.